Hello and welcome to another used car heaven here on Men and Motors. This is the programme that gives you the chance, if you're looking to change your car at the moment, to come and join us for a day. We'll meet this week's guest very soon. We've got 3 very tasty morsels for her to drive. Plus Simon Hughes, the car doctor, is back in the surgery, and Brad will have more insider tips at the trading post. But on this week's programme we've got a Honda Civic, a Hyundai Coupe and a Chrysler PT Cruiser. But before all of that, we need to see who's joining us on this week's programme. And it's Emma Walkley, who's 32 and from Hampshire. Emma works in marketing and currently owns a Fiesta. She does a fair amount of driving, up to 30,000 miles a year on business and pleasure, but isn't quite sure what she's looking for. For fun at the weekends though, Emma also has the use of a Westfield. Hi Emma, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us on this week's programme. So at the moment, what do you drive?
A Fiesta.
Fiesta? Why's that got to go?
I'm going to be moving offices at work and I need to do a lot of mileage, so down the motorways and stuff.
So you're looking for something reliable?
Yeah, little bit bigger maybe, something...
Sporty perhaps?
Yeah, nice bit of pokers.
Okay, well one of the cars has definitely got a sporty edge to it.
Yeah.
And most importantly, what sort of budget have you got to spend?
9 to 10.
9 to 10 grand. Okay, well car number 1 is this Chrysler PT Cruiser.
Yep.
Been around for a couple of years or so now. I mean, it took the sort of motoring world by storm when it was first introduced, because it's just so 1950s and retro, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice indeed.
Do you like it?
I like the front end. I think that's really nice.
The rear end is it?
Looks like a taxi.
It does, doesn't it? I know what you mean.
Yep.
But the front end, it's pure hot rod, and I like touches like this. The sort of mock alloy wheels. You know, the chrome effect.
Yeah,
Looks
it's
good,
very
doesn't
nice.
it?
Yeah.
13 grand for a brand new one they're starting at now, but you could easily find a nice used one for 9 or 10 grand, no problem at all.
That sounds good.
Good 2-litre engine. This is one of the higher spec, the 2-litre limited, so lots of bits and bobs on it. I think you'll find it a good drive.
Okay.
What about this? It's the Hyundai Coupe.
I like it. It's very curvy. It's nice and sporty. I don't know if it's really what I need.
Is that a problem, having a coupe and a 2+2, not much room in the back?
No, that's
No.
all right. I don't normally have people in the back, so that's fine.
It's a 1.6. I think you'll find it a sporty drive. I mean, you could, if you like the look of this and you like the way it drives, you could upgrade to the 2-litre and get more performance if you realise.
Nice.
I'm not so sure about the front end of this car.
There's a few too many lights.
There are, aren't there? Rather mystifying. But again, it's a cheap car, 13 grand new, but this is £10,000.
That's good.
Which I think is a lot of car for the money.
Yeah, it looks like something a bit more expensive maybe.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what about this, the latest Honda Civic? Apart from the colour, dare I say.
It's growing on me.
Is it?
I like the shape anyway.
You don't think
liked
it's a bit too much of an old person's car?
It's a little bit bland.
It has that image to it,
Yeah.
doesn't it, I'm afraid?
Yeah,
But I mean, you're getting fantastic reliability,
Yeah,
build quality.
That's good about it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good engines and stuff. So.
It's the latest one, it's the 1.4. Now this is one up from the base model, so it's a little bit low on specification, but at 9 grand, it's a lot of car for the money.
Yeah.
Jump in, we'll take it out for a drive.
Well, Emma, we're about to find out what you think, but for my money, I think this is the best car on offer. It is a Honda Civic 1.4S. Now, granted, it's one up from the base model, so for the S you get air conditioning and some electrics. But inside, I think it's tasteful and subtle rather than garish and outgoing. They're firm and quite dull seats, but I kind of like it. The outside, well, let's have a look. Now, I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. God knows I shouldn't be, but I am, because we all know that this car bears no relationship whatsoever with the Honda Civic Type R, apart from that is a bit of the chassis, and that's where I'm seduced. But of course, it's only a second cousin twice removed or whatever. But under there, unfortunately, isn't the same engine, but it is still a little belter. It's a 1.4 litre petrol engine that, like a camel in the desert, will go and go and go, and you get the gag. But performance is nothing to write home about, Emma. This car is all about economy and looks. I think if you've got £9,000 to spend, you can't go far wrong with this. This car is about 6 months old, it's on an O2 plate, it's done about 4,000 miles, and yet it's lost probably about 10–12% of its value already. And there's not a mark on it. It's a brand new car, Emma. I can heartily recommend it.
Thanks, Brendan. Well, it's car number 1 for you, Emma. It's the Honda Civic. What do you think of it?
Oh, it's quite quiet.
It is very quiet.
Yeah, it's nice like that. It's quite smooth, but it's not got much poke.
It's only a 1.4 engine,
Yeah.
not much power. I mean, the VTEC is a cracking engine, but unfortunately, it's not in this.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not very comfortable with the gear sticks on the dash.
I always think that's weird.
That's
having
very
the
strange on
gear
here.
stick there. I don't like that at all. It doesn't appeal to me. I'd
No.
rather have it down here.
I don't know whether it's just because I'm not used to it, or just that I'm short.
But the other thing is, I mean, visibility out of the car, although it's very light and airy in the cabin, you can't see the front of the car at all,
No,
can you?
the shallow windscreen makes it look really strange.
I mean, you really
that's
can't,
really
if you
confusing.
like, you know, for parking, just to check the distance, you'd be really sort of...
I would be quite worried in this actually.
You'd
'cause
want
I just,
parking sensors on it.
yes,
Maybe that's what they're
yeah,
trying to do. Everybody
if I
can
had
have
parking
sensors,
sensors,
you'd
that
be
would be
all right.
fine.
Well, Emma, that's the Honda Civic. It's the
Yep.
latest model. It's only been on the market for a few months. What do you think of it for $9 grand?
Yeah, I like the outside. It's very nice.
Inside?
Bit bland.
Yeah, a bit dull, isn't
the
it?
drive is too. It's very old.
Yeah. Do you feel a bit that it is that sort of car?
Yeah, possibly.
Do you?
My granddad like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the 1.4 engine. It's the basic engine. It's not got the VTEC on it. I mean, I think if you really like this car at the end of the day, you could say, well, I'll spend the extra money and find a VTEC version
Yeah,
of this.
the VTEC would be good.
It's a comfortable car.
Yes, that was nice. Yeah, plenty
Got some
of room.
decent bits and bobs on it.
Yep.
For the money, it's a good all-round package,
Yep,
but it doesn't
definitely.
quite offer you
Good
that,
value, but
that extra
not
performance.
what I'm really after.
We're going out in the Hyundai Coupe next, but before that we need to head off to the surgery. Here's the car doctor, here's Simon.
Today we're looking at 190 Mercs, and although they're a very, very popular car, they can look horrible if they're left to go tatty and all rusty around the edges. And you can see that rust is starting to creep in here, along here, and it'll soon start spreading around the wheel arches. But help is at hand, because Mercedes have produced some very, very cheap parts for these things, in that to repair the wheel arches you can get these lovely chrome trims that just clip on and glue on, and they'll hide any corrosion, and that's for about £40. You can also get cheap panels for these if they're going rusty, and a front wing is only £19. A quarter light is about £7, and a new bonnet is only 60 quid, so there's no excuse for these being tatty. But best of all, I tend to find that the bonnet stars on the front of the car tend to get ripped off by people messing around with them and thinking, well, we'll take that home. But again, they're very, very cheap. And even for the most expensive one from a Mercedes dealers, you're only going to be into about £16 to £18, and they'll probably fit it for free for you. So if you have got one of these cars, there's no excuse really not to keep them looking as good as the day they came out of the factory, all with Mercedes parts.
Thanks, Simon, and there'll be more from the Car Doctor at the same time next week here on Used Car Heaven. But on this week's programme, we're looking to find a new car for Emma. She's got around £9,000 or £10,000 to spend, and she's open-minded about what she wants. We've already been out in the Honda Civic, and now it's the Hyundai Coupe. And now with more about that car, here's Brendan.
Now, I've always maintained that this car with a different badge would sell by the bucket load, but because it's a Hyundai, ooh, we don't like Hyundais, everyone's a bit snobbish. It's a fantastic little motor. Underneath there's a 1600 injection, 4-cylinder 16-valve unit, which pumps out about 111 brake horsepower, and it adds up for great performance. And of course, you get that great Hyundai servicing package, which is both cheap and long and economical. This car will do about 36 miles per gallon. The way it looks, well, that's down to you, Emma. I particularly quite like it. That rear spoiler, I'm afraid, doesn't do it for me, but all in all, the car is quite ergonomically designed. Let's have a look inside, see what you think of that. The interior, like the exterior, depends on your point of view. This grey and black is not my cup of tea, but at least it's leather, which brings us on to the interior kit. It is fully kitted, this SE. It's got air conditioning, a CD player, fully electric, and very nice set of alloys on the outside as well. And it's great value for money. This car would have been 13 grand new. It's done about 10,000 miles, but it's on a 51 plate, so it's relatively new, and there's not a mark on it. And yet you could get this car, Emma, for about 9 grand. It's a stylish 2+2, very different from the other two cars, but if I were you, well, at least I'd give it a try.
Thanks very much, Brendan. Well, this is the Hyundai Coupe, Emma.
Yeah.
Do you like the interior, what they've done with the styling in here?
It's different. It's a little plasticky, but it's different and it's nice because of that.
You know, they only cost 13 grand new, and this is only
Yeah.
10. It's only done 10,000 miles.
Yeah, it's very, very good value, really.
I mean, I think since they brought out the very first Hyundai Coupe a good few years ago now, I mean, they've been onto a real winner for somebody who's looking, you know, for something a bit sporty, a little bit different,
But not that
doesn't want to
expensive.
spend
Yeah.
big bucks to do it.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, there was a famous newspaper quote when the first Hyundai Coupe came out that you could mistake this car for a Ferrari. Well, I think that's stretching the imagination a little bit.
I think so.
Doesn't quite
It's
have
not
a
red and
Ferrari
it's not
feeling,
Italian.
does it? No. But what do you think of it overall, now you've had a chance to
Yeah,
drive
it's actually not a bad drive. The gear change is very sloppy.
it? It is.
And
It's
you've got a real long way to
a
go.
long throw, isn't it? I mean, normally on sort of sports cars or sporty orientated cars, it's quite a short change,
Yeah.
but that is a long change.
Yeah, but the handling's okay. It feels quite nice like that.
1.6 engine, so it's a sort of base model in the
Mm-hmm.
coupe range. I mean, does it feel nippier than the Honda?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's better. Obviously, it's better than the Honda
It's not going
was.
to
'Cause
blast
that was
away
only a
from the
little
lights,
baby,
but it's
yeah. I think if it had a 2 litre in it, it'd be very good.
very
wouldn't
good,
it?
wouldn't it? Yeah.
For the money, I think it would be fantastic.
yeah. Well, Emma, that's the Hyundai Coupe. You thought the Honda was a bit underpowered and a bit dull.
Yep.
Does that pep things up a little bit more,
Oh,
do you think?
definitely, yeah. It's a much better engine like that, yeah.
And it's a comfortable sports car as
Yeah,
well, isn't
it's
it?
very nice. The interior's comfortable, definitely. The leather's nice, but
And you could certainly chuck this around your favourite country roads, couldn't you, I
yeah,
think?
definitely. It's got a bit of oomph to it. It's, yeah, going for the power.
And it's a roomy car. The seats are okay in the back. They're usable. It's got a decent boot on it.
Yeah,
For 10 grand, it's a good all-round package,
it's
isn't it?
definitely, yeah, it's a very good all-round first starter sports car, you know,
You don't want to spend too much, but this is the right sort of area,
Yeah.
isn't it?
definitely.
Okay, well, we'll be going out in the Chrysler PT Cruiser in part 2 of the programme. Also on the way in part 2, Brad will have more insider tips at the trading post, and that's all in a couple of minutes' time. Hello there and welcome back to part 2 of Used Car Heaven. On this week's programme, we're looking to find a new car for Emma, who has around £10,000 to spend. She spends a lot of time on the road and wants something that's comfortable and versatile. We've been out so far in the Honda Civic and the Hyundai Coupe. She liked both of those to a certain degree. Soon we'll be going out in the Chrysler PT Cruiser. Also coming up soon, Brad will have more insider tips at the trading post. But before all of that, Brendan Coogan has an alternative car that Emma ought to think about.
Imagine if cars could get it on. A Jeep Cherokee, a Nissan Micra, get it together, they have a baby. They decide to call it a Suzuki Jimny. You can see what I'm driving at. I'm going to shock you, Emma. This is just an alternative, but I like it. Have a look. Now, internally and externally, this car isn't going to win any prizes for design, but it's honest. On the outside, it's not trying to be a RAV4 and wacky and hairdresser. It's kind of just does what it says on the tin. Equipment levels inside are Spartan, to say the least. You do get electric windows and electric mirrors, but they're kind of just cursory gestures, really, rather than a sign that equipment levels are good. And what you do get, unlike many soft roaders, is the low ratio off-road box. So it's capable when you need it to be. Have a look at the back. It, like the front, is a bit dull and uninspiring, and space in the back there is very limited, but Emma, that shouldn't concern you. Now, this is the hot news for Used Car Heaven. This is a brand new car. With 0 miles on the clock, you can have this car for £7,800. So compared to the expensive Cruiser, the Honda Civic and the Hyundai Coupe, I think this is a real alternative that you should consider, Emma. Good luck. This is the Chrysler PT Cruiser. Quite why, we're not sure. A car that when it was launched, it provoked so much reaction, some of it was good. This is who it's selling to, a sales rep going up and down the motorway, but they want to look like they're in a hot rod. Or a family doing the school run, going to a supermarket, but they want to look like they're in a hot rod. Why? In with hate, out with love. Emma, this might just be the car that you're looking for. Huge practical space inside, lots of room, and loads of styling as well, if you don't mind those big fat chrome wheels. It's got a 2 litre, 16 valve, 4-cylinder engine under there, generating 140 brake horsepower, more than enough to shift this car along at quite a pace. Have a look inside. Now, for the purposes of today, we borrowed a limited PT Cruiser, but the classic that you can afford in your budget probably won't be too dissimilar. You'll probably have to lose the leather and suede interior, but in terms of equipment levels, you will get air conditioning, you will get a CD player, you will get all electrics. American cars are just like that. In terms of the interior, I'm not so fond of it, but you might be, because it has got that individuality and difference that you're looking for. How practical you want your car to be, it's very different from the Hyundai. It's up to you. Not for me, though.
Thanks, Brendan. Well, this is the third and final car for you, Emma, the PT Cruiser, something very different compared to the other two.
Definitely.
What do you think?
It's quite nice. It's a comfortable driving position.
I mean, you were really sold on this car before you'd driven it, weren't you?
Yeah, on the looks were... The fact that it was smaller than I thought it was originally.
I suppose it's just that bit different, isn't it, from everything else that's on the road?
Yeah, it's nice because of that. Very individual.
High up driving position.
Yep.
Gives you a
Better
good view of the road ahead without being kind of jacked up high in a 4x4 or something. But it's nice to be up high, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see everything. Actually, that's quite good. I've not in a Fiesta. I'm like practically sitting on the floor. So.
Yeah. You might not be able to stretch quite to a limited edition like this in your sort of budget, but you certainly get one of the other cars. And I mean, for 10 grand,
it's pretty good.
It's a good car.
Yeah, very good for the money, definitely.
I mean, it's not. A lot of people kind of mistake this as being an MPV and a people carrier. It's not that
it's
at all.
It's not quite big enough for that.
It isn't.
No, but it's got a nice amount of size in the back, and you know, if I wanted to carry adults with me, then yeah, I could do that for a long journey rather than just the short journey that I could manage in the coupe.
What about the way it drives? How does it feel?
It's quite nice. It's the gear change is a little bit notchy.
Yeah.
Plonky, as I called it.
What about steering? Is that?
It's quite light again.
Quite light, similar to the Honda.
Yeah, I like a little bit more feedback.
Well, that's the Chrysler PT Cruiser, Emma. When you first arrived this morning, when we showed you the cars that we got set up for you, you really liked the look of this, didn't you?
Yeah, I do. I like the front. I think that's really nice.
It's smart, isn't it?
Yes, it's very
smart. It looks great.
Yeah.
And it looks so different on the road.
Yeah, it's totally different to anything else.
It's unusual,
that's out
it's
there.
unique.
Yeah.
It's comfortable to drive.
Yes, it is. The driving position is really good and the seats are really comfortable. There's plenty of room.
2 litre engine, 140 brake horsepower. Maybe not quite the sporty feel that you get with the Hyundai, obviously. But there's enough power there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, enough for cruising down the motorway. You know.
I mean, this limited edition is a lot more expensive, but you could certainly find a very nice 2-year-old car for 10 grand within your budget.
Yeah, this one's got all the toys. But,
Okay, I think I know where you're going with your final decision, but we don't want it just yet, because before that we need to head off to the trading post, and here's Brad.
If you have £1,000 to spend on the car and you don't want to spend it on a 25-year-old Volvo, you're looking for something a bit more fun and funky, then look no further than the Fiat Cinquecento. A very small little car, a good city car, a good alternative to the more modern smart car. This one on a P registration, like I say, you can pick up for about £1,000. Not an awful lot of room in this vehicle, but enough room for 4 people. Once again, more room than the smart car. Very, very cheap to insure. Cheap on your road tax as well because of the engine size, 1 litre or 1.1. But bear in mind that the security on these vehicles is very, very lax. Therefore, you may have to spend some money on alarms and immobilisers. Not the ideal car to be cruising up and down the motorway in, but if you're just looking for something, a little run around town, great little car.
Thanks very much, Brad. There'll be more insider tips on used car heaven next week at the same time. But on this week's programme, it's come down to the final decision for Emma. Hope you've had an enjoyable day with us today.
yes.
Driven some very nice cars, so we like it in reverse order. We want your third place car, please.
That would be this one.
The Honda Civic.
Yep.
Why have you put it third?
It's nice looking, but that's about all it's got going for it. It's bland inside and it's a not very exciting drive.
I think you need to be about 50 years older to drive this
Yes,
as well, to
something
be
like
honest. Something like that. It's good value for money package.
Yes, very good money.
But
yeah.
it just doesn't quite do it for you.
No.
Maybe the VTEC engine might do that.
Yes.
That's a possibility.
It's good.
So what are you putting number 2 then, Emma, please?
That would be the Hyundai.
Ah, the Hyundai Coupe. I thought you might have gone for this at number 1.
It's very nice, but there are some annoying little things about it, like the gear change and
Gearbox,
the,
yeah.
you know, and the two-tone leather. Don't
Yeah.
quite like that.
If this had a 2-litre engine, I suspect that you might
That
have
would
been
be very nice
a
indeed.
bit more
Yeah.
impressed, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the 1.6 did do very well, but
Okay, 10 grand for this. Again,
excellent value.
good value
Yeah.
for money car, isn't it? I mean, they certainly know how to package these things, and I mean, they've made a good attempt on the inside with the little quirky things which they've tried to emulate from other manufacturers,
Yeah.
but done it in plastic instead.
Yes, not quite so good as the
You
original.
pay your money, you get your plastic interior.
Yes.
So number 1, here we are, the Chrysler PT Cruiser. I'm not surprised about this actually. You had your eye on this
It's
from the
very
very
nice.
start.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very stylish, very unusual.
Good 2-litre engine. Fairly cheap to run, not
Yeah.
too thirsty, and the limited like this has got everything on it. Although that might
It
be
had
a
buttons
little out of your,
everywhere, to be honest.
little
which
bit
was
out of your
quite-
budget. Would you
yeah.
would you stretch to something like this? Do you think?
Possibly, yes.
Possibly.
Yes.
Emma, thanks for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You made a good choice. That's it for this week's Used Car Heaven. Join us again at the same time next week.